And we are live.
Welcome back to the rabbit. I messed that one up. Welcome back to the Rabbit Hole Podcast, where we do mediocre research and give our unwanted opinion about a topic that you probably don't care about. As you can tell, I'm already halfway buzzed, if that's even a thing. And over these past couple weeks, we've taken a little bit of a break here. Um, but over these past couple weeks, we've kind of gone into some very uh,
Controversial.
controversial and opinionated topics, I guess.
Yeah, you could say that.
Stuff that kind of causes some people to disagree and fight and blah blah blah. So this week we're gonna have a little bit more of a lighthearted um, talk here, and we're gonna go over some flat Earth theories, and we're gonna debate and talk about whether or not the Earth is round, flat, cone shaped, or whatever kind of geometrical alignments you may wish.
It's a trapezoid.
Yes, rhombus.
Yes, it's rhombus.
We're
And
just gonna sit here and name uh, geometrical shapes the whole time.
dome Earth.
Yeah.
And then, of course, dome Earth goes into we're just on the back of a turtle. And then we're just in the eye of a cyclops.
Yeah.
And then the world tree as well. So, I mean, we go a lot of places with this. Really it's called, flat Earth theories, flat Earth concepts, things like that. But up until about the 5th century BC, that was reality for everybody. Everybody thought the world was flat as much as they had thought about it. I don't know how much someone really, in like say 6th, 7th century BC, Greece would have been thinking about the shape of the world, but it wasn't really until was it Socrates? Aristotle provided evidence that the Earth was spherical in, around 400 BC. Then that's the first time that you actually get people realizing that the world is a sphere rather than flat. So, for a lot of people, that was the way they lived.
Prior to that, though, I mean, it was kind of there was an edge of the world
Yeah.
type of thing, whereas like
Mhm.
you go over, once a certain point, you would fall off the edge of the earth,
Right.
and so
Yeah.
on.
And I think that, even though, and a lot of times I think this was something that people didn't even think about. This was something that if I am, I live in 1st century Thrace or, Rome, wherever, I wouldn't really be worried about this kind of stuff. If I'm just a farmer or a soldier or doing something like that, it's not something that would cross my mind because there wasn't the time to just sit around and think about it. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't think it would have been thought about much.
Among everyday people living in this time period, I don't think there was a lot of questions being raised about the subject. It was kind of like those people were fighting for survival on their own, not really worried about what shape their planet was in.
Right, exactly.
They kind of just didn't care.
When did you
And
say
so it was kind of reserved for more higher thinking individuals, such as Greek philosophers and astronomers and people of that sort.
when did you say they actually discovered it was round?
So Aristotle proved evidence that the Earth was round in 330 BC. So that'd be your 4th century BC.
But
So
even though they provided scientific evidence and stuff like that, no one knew for certain that the Earth was round or spherical, whatever, until Ferdinand Magellan and Juan Sebastian Elcano's trip around the world. They circumnavigated the Earth in 1519.
Yeah, 1519.
That was the first time anyone had ever started at one point and ended at one point.
Yeah.
And
that's nearly 2,000 years difference there.
Yeah, around the entire planet.
I asked that only because of the to go back to like mythology and stuff like that we've talked about is like with Norse mythology.
Mhm.
Oh my God, Norse mythology, right? Is to have,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna butcher this name, Jormungandr, the world serpent, right?
Yeah.
Uh, complete being so long that it completely wraps around the
Mhm.
Earth, which
Yeah.
would be, they'd state that they believed in a spherical
Spherical.
Earth,
Yeah.
or at least a halo-esque
Right.
Earth.
Yeah. Something of that nature. And when you look at like depictions from Norse mythology, or if you read like the Poetic Edda and things like that, and you talk about like Yzdagard of the World Tree, and you start talking about all of that, you can tell that they believed in more of a almost like dome Earth. It's kind of what I think of when I think of it. Like we're in
Be
this
similar.
big dome surrounded by the world serpent around the outside of it. Yeah.
It'd be similar like
I
the
was gonna say
hollow.
because I didn't think they believed in more in like a spherical Earth
Yeah.
because they had kind of a layers to their kind of thing, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Like hell
Well,
was like
yeah. There's
a
like your nine
layer.
realms.
Let's say
Yeah.
it would be like, yeah, well, it's that's how I take it. It's like a realm, right? But each, because there's even the realms all are, they might be on top of each other, but I think they all are together. Does that mean, I don't know, right? Because like the dwarves or elves, one of the two, are able to move in between dimensions or realms, and I don't know if I had.
Sorry, I had to hit the library.
Is the elves, yeah, they were able to. The elves were the people who were able to kind of like,
Essentially walk like it, like you talk
yeah,
like the 4D, like the 4D dimension where like it's a dimension that's literally right there with us,
Yeah.
but you can't see it, but they were able to see it and
Yeah.
walk through it.
Yeah. There's some interesting things, especially when we start talking about like even like old Judea and Hebrew um, mythology and religion. They believed that the world was flat as well, and that there was essentially almost kind of like I'm pulling on some distant memories here, but almost kind of like the world tree in Norse mythology, where you had hell down below, and you had your mid tier, your earth, then you went above that, and you had like heaven, and there was supposedly there's like different levels of heaven to reach. So
yeah. The Persians also believed that the Earth was in a seven-layered ziggurat.
is that
Is
the
what they
Zoroastrians?
yeah.
Okay.
It's what they called the cosmic mountain.
Yeah.
And it's alluded to in the Avesta,
Yeah.
which is the primary collection of religious texts for Zoroastrianism.
I had to write
Um,
a thick double C paper for Bailey on Zoroastrianism one time, and
why in the world is she writing a paper on Zoroastrianism? Isn't she like a kindergarten teacher or something?
yeah, it was something about like some kind of how.
That's like a full-on theology, like a deep theology class.
Yeah, it was like it went back into like how it would relate into childcare, like how you would care for a child of these certain it was messy,
It's weird.
but
Yeah, like I know a dude that has a degree in theology, and I
mm,
doubt that he knows what Zoroastrianism
yeah.
is, because it's one of those really far out ones that
I
is
mean, shoot,
not
I spent
mainstream at
years
all.
working with chaplains that didn't know. I mean, they wouldn't know what any of that stuff was. There was
Yeah,
like
a lot of
one
those people
Buddhist
kind of just
chaplain.
focus on their
The
religion.
rest of them's Christian.
Yeah, a lot of those people like that, they end up with degrees in some sort of theology and stuff like that.
Mhm.
They usually tend to focus on one, either their religion, or they at least focus on like a monotheistic kind of
Right.
thing.
Yeah, I think the
But
polys are where it's at. That's the more interesting ones, honestly.
oh, for sure, those are the ones
Polys are
that
where
get
it's
really
at.
deep and confusing.
Yeah. So back to flat Earth.
Here we go again,
We've
trailing off on
already gone
religion.
on a rabbit hole here. Um, I
But
think
yeah,
that a
so
lot. No, keep going. You're good. Sorry.
um, the spherical or round Earth thing is also not even true. Like everybody thought it was a perfectly spherical round Earth, and
Mhm.
it's not. if you actually know anything about like time and stuff like that, and the Earth, you know it's an ellipsoid. Um, and that's because of like different gravitational pools and stuff like that
Right.
has
Applying
caused
pressure.
the Earth to kind of be squished. So if you want to be honest, we're kind of in the middle of a flat Earth and a round Earth, and it's more of an ellipsoid shape, an elliptical shape. And that was kind of that was described by Isaac Newton in Principia in 17th century. Is when he
Interesting.
kind of figured that out.
I mean, and I guess really, and when you look at Earth from space, even when we're looking at it from the moon, we're really not far enough away to look back at it and get a good look and a good sense of it. It's your satellite imaging that's going out further than the moon that you're really having to get your good images from.
The other thing, I mean, because if there wasn't for like the curvature that you can tell in the
Yeah,
pictures, it would look flat. I mean, even if you were in space, it would look flat.
yeah, it would. Yeah,
But then, like, the theory is that um, they just go high enough up and they use a fisheye lens, which
yeah,
gives the
yeah,
illusion of a round Earth. Or
yeah. But then,
Well,
see, I don't.
the way that light in space works is that it only reflects off of, so you can only see what the sun's rays reflect off
Yes.
of. That's why we only see uh the moon as flat. Yeah, we see it as round, but we see it in a 2D kind
Yeah.
of dimension and shape.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how, if you were on the moon, how you would see the Earth is you would see it as this kind of like two-dimensional object, because it's just with the way that our eyes and the way that light and the way that the sun and space and everything works together is you can only see what um, the sun's rays reflect off of. And
s-
if
so I think the sun is flat.
You cut out
do
there.
what?
I said my theory is that the sun is flat.
Yeah, the Earth isn't flat. The sun is flat.
Yeah.
You want to know? You want to know why I say this?
Shoot.
Because anytime I look up at the sun, I have to close my eyes and I can't actually see it. So I think it's probably just a big conspiracy theory.
Hmm. Okay. Not as
Right?
deep as I was expecting, but it's
That's all I got.
something.
Just
That's
because
all
you
I
close
got.
your
That's
eyes.
about as deep as that's
I
about
can't
as
see it
deep as the
anymore.
flat Earth
It's
Society
not
goes into.
there.
Okay, but let's think about this for a second. I'll play devil's advocate here. I'll be the devil's advocate, and I'll play that the world is flat. Okay, I'll go from that viewpoint and see if we can get some good argument debate going here. So my theories for why the or my evidence for why the Earth is flat is that one, Antarctica is completely a protected area that you can't just travel to. Why is that? Why can't we go to Antarctica?
You can't go to
Uh,
Antarctica.
So if you want me to
It's
flop,
just it takes a lot of permits and funding and stuff like that. I mean, there's been multiple excursions to Antarctica. There was a dude, um, I forget his name, but he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he rowed a boat from the tip of Argentina, which is Cape. It's not Cape Horn. Cape Horn or Cape Hope.
we talked about this one time. Cape
Anyways, he
Fear
rowed a boat from the
is.
tip of Argentina and South
Mhm,
America. Him and his team, they rowed a boat. Not
that's
they
cool.
didn't get on a ship. They rowed a boat.
Like Vikings.
Yeah, all the way to Antarctica, and they made it. They touched the surface of Antarctica. And there's been multiple of excursions and explorations to Antarctica before. I think the reason that you can't go to Antarctica now and that you can't just take a plane ticket there right now is because it's one of the last places on Earth that is, um,
Not claimed.
yeah, and it's protected, kind
Mhm,
of like, I mean, think of the 11 Point River back where
right.
we're from. It's protected by like the conservation and all that stuff, and you're not really allowed to build like businesses and buildings and like
Right.
manufacturing within a certain uh, mileage of that river.
Well,
So
you can like own land
you can
beside the
own land
river.
that
Like you can
connects to the
literally have
river.
you can
Yeah,
have, but you cannot actually. You don't ever actually own the river or
yeah,
anything
you
the
can't
water's
ever
touching.
own the river itself. You cannot own a portion of that water that flows through, or you can't own a portion of the rock underneath of that water that flows through. But you can own the land on either side. And I feel like Antarctica is kind of the same thing. It's just one of those protected areas,
Hmm.
and I think that our governments from around the world all kind of have a deal in that sense that
Because there's
With the
aliens
people?
they
there.
do a lot. I think they
Yeah,
do a
with
lot
the
of
Hollow Earth
scientific
people.
research and stuff like that there.
Mhm. So what you're saying is the Earth is hollow.
No, what I'm saying is that it's protected by conservationists and people who really like green energy and stuff like that. And it's one of the
And the
last
sun
places
and
on
the
Earth
moon. Yeah.
where there's just a solid ice cap. And I think they do a lot of scientific research and stuff like that there. And that's one of the reasons that you're not allowed to just go there as a tourist, is because that would um, cause a lot of that would just cause a lot of human things, pollution, foot traffic, and stuff like that would just cause a loss of integrity of the purity of that space.
The virginity of Antarctica.
Now, that's me trying to be logical. If you want, on the flip side of this, I think that Antarctica is a battleground, basically, and that countries from all over the world, governments from all over the world, are trying to outbid each other on it. They're going to wars for it and stuff like that. Because I
Hmm.
think that's a perfect staging area. If you want to
Oh yeah.
say Russia, I mean, if Russia wanted to invade the United States. Well, yeah, they're right across the Bering Strait from
Hmm.
Alaska. They could do that easily. But if they wanted to start a war there in Alaska, they could start another front by going to Antarctica, staging troops in Antarctica, and flowing up through Argentina and South America, where they have plenty of other communist countries
To
and other
support them.
communist
Yeah.
friends that I'm sure would cover their tracks for them.
Right.
But I think Antarctica has a my conspiracy side of me says that Antarctica has a much deeper meaning than what most people think. I think it's definitely got a lot of secret scientific projects going on there. There's a lot of research going on there into multiple things. I mean, I think it's a place for like, you know how most people think the Area 52 is where they dissect aliens and
Hmm.
shit like that?
Yeah.
I think that's what they do in Antarctica. Antarctica would be a perfect place for it.
I agree.
Area 51.
For like a place like Area 51.
You said Area 52. That's as
Well, there is an Area 52, isn't there?
Yeah.
I'm
There's
thinking
both.
of World of Warcraft.
uh see what I think is I think there's an ice wall.
You think there's an ice wall?
I
Okay,
think there's an ice wall.
Hodor, tell me about it.
And I think in roughly give me a second, hold on. I was not prepared for this. 1926.
Hmm.
This is the North Pole. Oh no, this is the North Pole. We're talking about Antarctica.
I mean, both work. Both
Right.
work.
So the other side of the Earth,
Yeah.
or the, you know, yeah,
Yes.
there's an ice wall.
The top, not the bottom.
Which I guess if the Earth is flat, right? If the Earth is flat, there's
Hmm.
an ice wall all the way around, right?
Yeah, I think either there's an ice wall all the way around, or there's an ice wall along the bottom, the top, and then it's just like an ocean drop off around the edges.
Okay.
That's
So
one of my things. Go ahead, CJ. Sorry.
no, he did go. So he did go to Antarctica. Sorry, I didn't scroll down. I knew that. I
Bird?
knew. Yeah, Admiral Byrd, Richard E. Beard.
Bird.
Um, Twitchy, and I'm gonna absolutely butcher this because I'm going based solely off of memory because I do not have time to read through this to tell you what's going to happen. So what I'll do is I will tell you what I remember, and then I will read and tell you if I was right or not.
CJ's version of history. I like it.
Yes, this is so Admiral Byrd. I don't know when. I want to believe it was around the time of World War II.
I don't know. That's
He
easy enough.
went to Antarctica, and he was flying. Right, he was flying over Antarctica, and it got to a point where he hit a patch, and it was like a tall wall of ice, and it stretched on for miles and miles and miles. And 1928.
Yeah, 1928.
Okay, so I was okay. We're already wrong. But the rest of the story will be true because he did fly around World War II. So, anyways, so he's flying over this wall of ice, and the further he goes into it, there's another craft that comes out, and it kind of guides him. And it doesn't. It's not acting hostile. It's being kind of like friendly, like hey, kind of follow us type of thing. So he starts following with it, and there's a hole in the ice wall, and he goes down it, and they go down for quite a ways, and they end up basically inside of the Earth, which is this is where the hollow Earth theory comes into. And essentially, what he was saying is that inside of the Earth, there is another world with other beings. I don't remember what the beings were. I don't know if they were reptilian or, I don't know any of that.
So
Essentially, there's another sun. There's a second sun inside the Earth with another Earth almost like inside also. So it's basically kind of like one of those Russian
nesting dolls.
Yeah, right. But it's like a ball.
Uh-huh.
So you have a ball inside of a ball.
Was there a ball inside of that ball? How deep did this guy go?
I don't know, man.
How many balls did he go in?
I think there's only one. I think there's only one ball inside of a ball, and that's it. But I don't know that.
So he went inside of something though.
Yes. So
apparently, but he flew into it.
Yes.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
Is what he went inside of one of the volcanoes?
It would be similar to a like a volcano, right? So it'd be like.
Well, there is volcano
like an ice, like an anthill, right? It's not necessarily a ball in a ball. There's a ball, and then there's a ball inside of that ball.
So it's a ball in a ball.
Kind of like a donut.
Okay. And then the donut hole.
Yeah, so it's like there's a hole, and there's another hole, and then there's a line in between the hole, right?
Yes.
Which would allow you get my point. You get the point, right? So that happens, and he meets with these people.
I don't.
So I'm curious how thrust and all this works. If he's flying a plane.
So the other vessel that was guiding him, I guess somehow their technology kind of took over and guided him.
Like a tractor beam.
Essentially, or kind of like you're docking onto a theoretical spaceship in the future, and you just line up with it and it pulls you in.
Tractor beam, yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And this man, just before we're like, this man's a freaking lunatic. He has no, nothing. This man was a rear admiral in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
He fought in World War I and II.
Mm-hmm.
He was awarded the Medal of Honor, the Navy Cross, Navy. Some of these are just like your bare whatever, He had the Distinguished Flying Cross.
But did he get a National Defense Medal?
No.
Oh!
Sorry,
had to. Couldn't stop myself.
This man. But anyway, he got the
participation trophy.
Yeah. He's several awards. Pretty high ranking. I mean,
right.
I think let's
Rear Admiral.
Admiral's
That's
essentially
07?
a 2-star.
06, 07, yeah.
So he's not. He's obviously not stupid.
Unless it's someone's
No,
cousin.
that's the thing is that's why I was asking you about volcano. Is that what he flew into? Is because he is known for discovering Mount Sidley, which is the largest volcano in Antarctica. And I think that's weird that there's a volcano in Antarctica. Anyways, I never would have
Mount
thought.
Sidley.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Mount Sidley is it's one of the volcanic seven summits, which
Mhm.
is the seven tallest volcanoes on each continent, and Mount Sidley is the tallest volcano on Antarctica.
That's interesting.
And he was the discoverer of it
Yep.
in November 18th, 1934. He flew over it and discovered it.
Huh.
It's the first ever recorded ascent of Mount Sidley was by a New Zealander, Bill Atkinson, in 1990.
They said there's a big hole in the ground.
It really doesn't even look like that tall of a volcano,
No, it doesn't.
but I guess it's the tallest volcano on that continent. Then
on Antarctica.
it
I
doesn't
think
have to
Antarctica is
be
like
there.
mostly flat 'cause it's just like it's just an ice shelf. So
Yeah.
Whole
It doesn't
world's
have to be that
flat.
tall, I guess.
My bad. I'm sorry, CJ.
Just kidding. I don't actually.
Yeah, I could climb this thing.
I'm trying to actually find like evidence of what he said or like
What he said about the actual
his actual
encounter.
words. Yes.
Yeah, I want to know who he met there. That's what I'm really interested in.
He was stated that he was ordered to. So I'm pretty sure everything. None of this come out until after he died. Like I think because he was. It says he was ordered to remain silent. I am ordered to remain silent in regard to all that I have learned on the behalf of humanity. I am reminded that I am a military man and I must obey orders. I'm detained for several hours. I'm interviewed.
I'm just questioning. My main deal to combat the flat Earth thing is how do you explain time zones and stuff like that? Because I've been on the other side of the planet before. I've been to South Korea, which
Mhm.
is pretty much right on the other side. It's like a 15 or 13 or 14-hour time difference or something like that.
Right.
So I've been in a place where it was dark when it was sunlight here and vice versa. And I'm just wondering how you
can
can
explain
explain that.
CJ can
So
explain it.
yeah, I can explain this actually. So picture, if you will, a piece of paper. This would be a lot easier if we were in person. A piece of paper essentially. And so on your book, right? On the left side, there's a flashlight shining down on it. And on the right side, you have the moon, essentially. Yeah. So it rotates on top of the Earth. And so that's how only half of it will be lightened at a time. Because the sun revolves on top of the Earth. The Earth is actually stationary. It does not move at all.
But why?
Because it's how.
Why does that make more sense than we're a sphere? I mean, like, if someone's trying to convert me to flat Earth theory, why does that make more sense?
Well, typically, if you were going to be, I'm trying not to. I'm gonna be offensive, probably.
Usually, if you're a flat earther, you're not making much sense in the first place.
Yeah. You've probably been dropped on your head at one point.
Your arguments don't have to make any sense, is what he's saying.
No, but see, but sometimes, I see conversations, arguments going on around flat Earth, and I'm like, you know what? Actually, it doesn't sound, crazy far-fetched. But then I guess it's maybe just because I'm like so detached from reality, and like.
That's the thing is, I think there's I mean, I'm honestly able to question everything
Yeah.
because it's at this point, like, we really don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
at this point, there's so many conspiracy theories going on daily. Like,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
a specific community that we won't name that are silly gooses, and that's just boom, 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 boom.
Every
Which I
day,
think is
something new.
actually probably hurting us,
Mhm.
making us, they're like conspiracy theorists are now kind of
Yeah.
more lunatics than we were before.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm kind of getting off flat Earth here, but I've been meaning to kind of talk about this for the past couple days with you guys. So I'm gonna take the opportunity to kind of mention it for a second. I really feel like in our current climate, in our current society, sorry, I really do feel like it almost has to be a simulation. Like going back to weeks ago, months ago, when we talked about simulation theory, from that point to now, I have seen so much more evidence of simulation theory than I could even count. Hell, I sent you guys the other day. I caught a glitch in the Matrix the other day when I was at work, where someone was doubled in a photo. That like it was literally impossible for it to be an exposure thing.
So I think we'll know more. There'll be more evidence come next month, I guess, depending on what happens. Like if it correlates to last, I think at this point we've hit 2020 and we're looping. I think
You think we're like a
I
continuous
think
time
we're
loop?
stuck in a loop now because at the excuse me, at the beginning of last year, what's the first thing that happened? Everyone was scared.
The
We
war
were
with
going to
Iran.
war with Iran.
What
Yeah.
happened this year?
We killed Soleimani. We're
A
going to
year
war with
to the
Iran
day-
again.
A year to the day, everyone's scared. We're going to we're going to war with Iran.
And at the same time, also Kim Jong Un is posturing again like he was this time last year.
And I know we're not trying to. This isn't us trying to be political. This is just the
Mhm.
state of the world, right? So this time last year, they were going through with the impeachment of Donald Trump.
Yep.
This time again, here we are, impeachment of Donald Trump. We may get a new president.
And someone, I was in the field the other day. Someone said something about simulation theory that like it blew my mind. I was like, oh, that makes so much sense, and I can't remember what it was. So
Well, you just got my hopes up and you dropped me like a newborn child.
you're welcome.
But I think
I'm really trying to remember, but I can't at all.
I genuinely feel like that's one of the most believable, especially right now. I think the code's broken. I think something has happened and the code has broke and we are stuck.
We're stuck. We're hard
And
stuck.
some stuff might be dissolving. There's things that are happening that didn't happen last year, it's minute things. But some of the major stuff that is happening has already happened, and it's just literally going to repeat.
Well, I mean, if you want to base it off of, if you want to say we're in a simulation, how does the simulation have to run? Well, it runs off a mathematical algorithm, right?
Mhm.
If it's a truly sentient thing and it runs without people controlling it and something like that, then it has to run off of a mathematical algorithm. There's no other way it can run. And eventually those kinds of things have to repeat themselves. They have to be on some sort of loop kind of. I mean, numbers go forever, but eventually you're repeating the same numbers kind of.
Running out of combinations.
In a sense, eventually you can go all the way up to 7, 8, 9, but eventually you're going to say 17, 18, 19.
Yeah.
And it's the same numbers, but with a different like number in front of it.
Right.
What's the thing is like how the world everything is basically revolves around mathematics.
100%.
Oh yeah.
I think that was one of the biggest like
everything is created and destroyed based off of a number. Yep. It's all written in a binary code. It's all based off mathematics and algorithms is what the entire planet is based off of. And everything that has happened, you can bring it down to math in one way or another. It's
Mhm.
the freakiest thing in the world.
Yeah, it really is. It honestly is literally the freakiest thing in the world. You are right.
And that could also be how, so say all of there's tons of simulations, right?
Hmm.
Goodbye, flat Earth. Hello, simulation again.
Well, honestly, how this I see a correlation back to flat Earth on simulation theory. But I'll let you keep going, and then I'll talk about correlations.
So really, all I'm going for is how there's with simulation theory. Essentially, we're in a simulation, right?
Right.
There's obviously there's somebody higher up or some things that are kind of running this.
Hmm.
Um, that would mean there's probably multiple simulations happening.
Right. Alternate realities.
And as one crashes, the likelihood is everything going into that server would split and move to a different server. All the resources from that server
Hmm.
or simulation would move to a different simulation to help it run smoother. So what if our simulation crashed last year
Hmm.
and now we've moved into this alternate simulation that's very similar to or another dimension. This might be another dimension at this point, but it's very similar. There's minute things that are different, but all the major things are happening,
Hmm.
and that they're happening to make you think that you're still, hey, you're still where you're supposed to be. We're tweaking some stuff
Right.
to make it seem like I don't.
No, I agree. Like okay, so a little psychological experiment here for you guys. Thinking back over the last few years, let's say last 3 or 4 years, things have evolved and changed a lot faster than they were evolving and changing prior to the last couple of years. And honestly, if I think about like my memories of like the past couple of years versus like if I try to remember like the past 2 years, this might be because I have a brain tumor or something, but if I try to remember like the past 2 years, like I have a really hard time remembering that. Like I have a really hard time pulling yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. Recollections, yeah, off of that. But now, like 10 years ago, I have a great memory on what happened back then. My short term might just be going, but I think that might be kind of a haze almost over the past couple of years. Does that make sense? Or I just
Well,
ramble?
yeah. Well, so it could be that the simulation is trying to
Alter my memory?
it's trying to patch in some stuff to be like, hey, you're trying to think about this, and it's like we don't have the code for this. Hold on.
That
It's like an episode of SpongeBob.
insert Sean Christopher. Um, maybe it's the simulation's way of, like he said, he was implanted with his memories of the things he went through as a child were wiped, and he was implanted with false memories. Um,
That's where the fog,
Basically,
right?
he remembered a false childhood and stuff like that, and maybe it's something like that. Like the simulation is trying to cover its own tracks, and it's thinking, "Hey, he's on to us. We need to um, we need to camouflage ourselves," kind of thing.
Right.
And it's inserting false memories into
I
you.
printed off this glitch in the Matrix. I found it at work the other day. You guys talk about something. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Let's just go back to that. So it'd be like because what he was stating is that like after about 20 to 25 years, the mind fog, and I don't remember necessarily, and I want to.
It's kind of like the drugs wore off.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially.
Well, he explained it as like he was the way he explained it is what caused his memories to trip, and what caused his recollection of things was he met another person who went through the same things and was there at the same time he was,
Yes, that was it.
and it kind of brought back a deja vu
trigger.
effect. Maybe is I don't think that's the right word I'm looking for, but I remember asking him like a sleeper agent type thing, and he said, "Yeah, exactly." So that's kind of what I'm thinking, is that it was like a sleeper agent type thing where he had no idea what was going on. He had no idea who he actually was. He had no memory, no recollection of the things that had been done to him in the past. He met this other person, and that was like the trigger. Like they implanted memories in his head that was like, listen, 25 years from now, you're going to meet this other person. They're going to say the word potato, and that's going to be the trigger for the fog to lift. And that's when you're going to activate. And
So it could be.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Crap. I was gonna go somewhere with that, and now. Okay. So maybe. What if all this stuff, like, so we're living through a time where it's just major event after major, like historical, like this last year and a half is going to be a very hot thing in the next 25 years. Like, this is
Oh
going to be
yes.
a very historical time period. What if there are too many people that are questioning and they're trying to cover it up by the simulations? Like, we've got to, let's insert this, let's throw this at them, let's do this. It's just
it's getting
one thing.
overworked.
Yeah, and it's trying to reset itself and bring back the balance, because there's just too many people that are like breaking from it.
Understandable. I'm gonna share screen real quick, okay? Let me find the right one. Screen 2. Share. Okay, can you guys see this?
Not yet.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Okay. So the other day I was working on something at work. I was going through pictures from a Christmas party. And I caught this. All right. This is not an exposure delay. This is not anything like that. There's other people walking. This is a wider picture. And I sorted through all of it. There's other people walking around here, other people talking, but somehow
This dude got captured twice.
this dude got captured twice. This is not a panoramic. This is just a single shot. Okay. And there's other people walking around. Like I went through and in the wider picture, you can see like some guys walking right to left over here, and they're not captured twice, but this guy got captured twice.
What if that's
And
the
He's
one?
an admin.
it's really been like this thing's
What's
been
this
on my
guy's
mind.
name? We gotta find him.
I found this thing like a month ago, and I've just been like nonstop thinking about it. And
So what if this is one of the places where the uh, either the dimensions, either two dimensions or two simulations are overlapping?
very
And
possible. My kids were
this
really
is
good at that Christmas party, so it's
and
very
this is just
possible.
one thing that was like completely out of sync. Like, everything else is overlaid at the exact same way, except for this one guy. He's just happens to be just ever so slightly off. And then shortly thereafter, the simulation fixes it, or they converge back to where they were going. I just think that, especially, you'd think there'd be a lot of motion blur if this
You would
was.
think it's like two
And you would
separate
think-
captures.
And you would think that the people.
It's like there's two people standing there. Yeah,
Exactly.
It's
You
a
know-
perfect photo.
Yeah.
Like I said, like this guy, like you can tell he's in motion, like he's bending over, he's actively moving. This is a line of people going down a buffet, so there's people moving here. There's people off to the left.
And
that you could tell
at
were-
first, see, if you look at it at first, it looks like there's where this woman's purse is. She's holding this purse here, and you see that yellow kind of or gold like line there.
yeah,
It almost looks like there's a split in the image, and that two images come together. But if that was the case, there would be a line down this dude's arm as
Yep.
well, and
yeah,
there's
like through
not.
here.
Well, so now that you mentioned that, that does kind of look like the guy's jacket with the sleeve.
What, this line up here?
Yep.
No, that's a purse.
I
It's
don't
her
know. It's
purse.
kind of a different
purse?
color though.
Yeah, it's her purse.
It's like his is more of like a mustard color,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
there's more of a gold, brown,
I don't know, but
bronze.
this thing's been like, and if you look up here, can you guys see my mouse?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
If you look up here, like, look at this guy's foot. Okay, so he's actively in movement, right? He's actively walking.
yeah. His foot is off the ground completely.
From
There's a-
here, and you can see his
there's
heels
a-
raised.
Yeah.
But there's no different. You know what? You see what I'm saying here? Like that's
It's
the
just
same.
too bad. It's just too bad that this wasn't from the other side to where we could
Is
see
this
the
guy
shadow.
casting a shadow?
His shadow would, I think. See, there's overhead lights here.
Yeah.
See, because you can see the different
Shadow would be
shadows
on the other
casted
side of
on this lady
Raleigh.
up here. You have one this way and then
Mhm.
one this way.
I think the shadow would be in between these
Yeah,
people down there.
it'd be this way.
Mhm. Yeah, we need you to dig deeper and access some other cameras.
I know, seriously. Like I spend a lot of time like searching through the rest of the pictures from the Christmas party, like to find
That's super weird.
other. Yeah, but there's no
'Cause
other
it's one picture.
duplications. Just this one picture, this one guy.
It's one picture and that's captured him twice. I don't understand how that's even possible.
And
We
it
need to
not have
talk to a
captured the other
photographer or something
people
like
in the
that.
picture.
Yeah, we need to talk to a photographer or something about this because that's like it's not like it snapped two photos or something like that
Right.
or captured him in the middle of motion. It's
Right.
literally two different still images.
Yeah, and
If it was two different pictures overlaid, there would be differences all over.
oh
Yeah.
None of these people would be lined up.
No. And then on the other part of that, I think if it was a frame exposure thing, that he would be a lot closer. This is a huge gap in
Yeah,
distance
exactly.
here.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say too. Is if it was like a frame kind of thing,
I mean, this is like a second and a half of
He
walking
would-
right here.
barely be like he would still
Mhm.
be drinking or something like that.
Yeah, there'd be like a
Like,
double shot, and it'd be like half his head.
He's got the whole drink out of his mouth. His arm is swaying back in a different direction. He's got a different leg coming forward.
Mhm.
Like it's a totally different,
It's a whole other
totally different
stride.
body
Yeah.
position.
This has been
That's
blowing
wild.
my mind.
That's pretty crazy.
And I can't figure out who it is. I've gone through the rest of the pictures trying to figure out who was like wearing that day and stuff. You know, I'm not gonna blast them on here anyways, but like I couldn't figure out who it was. I was like,
Well, one, you need to find this guy and see if he's still working there because I bet you he's not because they pulled him out of the simulation. He was an admin that was there to lock things down and he got caught and he's no longer working
Well,
there.
so were you guys wearing stickers with your names on them?
yep. Too pixelated. I already tried.
Well, what I'm asking because I don't see anyone else with the sticker on their chest. I mean,
Yeah, see this lady down here, you can kind of see it right here.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
got that sticker on the right, on
Yeah.
the
You can see his
her
right
left,
here.
our right.
okay.
Yeah, same thing up
Hers
there.
right here. Yeah.
All right, we'll ignore that.
Yeah. So now you guys understand why I've been like in this kind of like, I don't know, bewilderment.
You just need to put it up at work and are you this person? Do
Are
know
are you this guy? I'll send out like a email to the whole company, be like, is this you? If so, my podcast would like to talk to you about your experiences. All right, I'm stopping the share now. Okay. Yeah,
That's
I
pretty
might have to
wild,
cut that and like make it its own little episode there, but this has like been blowing my mind.
Well, we definitely didn't answer the question of is the Earth flat or is it round? We kind of just went back and forth and ended up in simulations. But
is what happens. I think that's the best way we could have done. I mean, realistically, I mean,
So
doesn't matter what shape the Earth is in if it's all fake anyways, right?
exactly.
we don't have any proof. I've never been to space.
That's
No.
the thing is like you just don't
I've been in one plane my whole life, and it was like a 9-person plane. It flew sideways, and it was cloudy the whole time. and I wasn't paying too much attention because
What
missed.
what are you talking about?
A 9-person plane?
Yeah,
That
being able
flew
to,
sideways?
yes,
I'm
yeah.
I'm interested now.
You want to
Yeah,
know?
what kind of plane were you in?
I don't know. It was a traumatic event.
What flight was this? Where were you going?
Basic?
Basic. I was going to basic. Uh, the stupid
You
flight.
flew in a plane from St. Louis to Fort Leonard Wood?
Yeah, yeah. No. I flew in a plane from Cape Girardeau to St. Louis, and then rode a bus from St. Louis to Fort Leonard Wood.
That's the
You flew a
dumbest.
plane from Cape Girardeau to St.
Yeah,
Louis.
Was it
that's
like
30.
Air
That's the
Choice
wildest
1?
thing I've ever heard in my life.
So I'm only 3.5 hours from St. Louis. I'm 3 hours from Cape Girardeau in the exact opposite direction. So they had me drive all the way down to Cape Girardeau, hop on a plane, and fly 30 minutes that way. It made no sense. Made no sense at all.
Your tax
But
money at use.
yeah. So what happened was
That's
I
the
get in this
weirdest
plane,
thing.
and right.
I
So
took
my
a
nerves.
van. I took
Me
a
too.
van from Cape
No, I
to
was
St.
in.
Louis.
Yeah, I was.
I took
I
a
was in.
van from West Plains to St. Louis, and then a plane from St. Louis to San Antonio.
No, I flew from Cape Girardeau to St. Louis, and then rode a
That's the
bus.
dumbest thing I've ever heard.
There were people that got dropped off at Fort Leonard Wood themselves. I live an hour and a half from Fort Leonard Wood. Could have just went there.
And had to take a 6-hour trip.
Yeah, dumbest thing in my life. But right, so here we are, getting in at Cape Air, whatever it's called, and it's a 9-person plane. This thing is like not sealed perfectly. It's bad. Like while we're flying, I can feel air coming in through the windows. Not the best first time flight. And so I get in this vehicle, this plane.
Mhm.
You might call it a plane. I sit down, and they're like, "You need to turn all your electronics off. Like, if you have your electronics on, it might not be good for you." So I'm like, "Oh, okay, let me do it." I turn my electronics off. And I look over, and the guy beside me is like, "I'm not even taking my headphones out to listen to you tell me to do that." So the pilot's here, and not to body shame, but the pilot and the co-pilot are bigger individuals.
Bigger, okay. Yeah.
So the co-pilot sits in, and he's got to slam the seat all the way back. So the entire time I'm sitting here, I'm man-spreaded as much as you can. And this co-pilot is like, he looks back at me, he's like, "Sorry about the leg room." I'm like, no, it's fine. I'm just completely uncomfortable, but you do you, dude. So we get into the air, and it's just turbulence, wind coming through the windows. Like I just cracked open the window and I'm hanging out the side of it, type of thing, And so as we're flying, it's like storming. There's just clouds. It's just rain. These people don't know what they're. I mean, they have no idea what they're solely relying on the compasses and the instruments inside the plane. They are not looking down. They're not looking up. They're not nothing. And so finally, the clouds kind of break, and we are typically, when you're flying, you would be going straight forward. I look out, and we're kind of cockeyed, going semi sideways through the storm. So it was a disaster all around.
I mean,
Yeah.
but did you die?
I might have.
Did you get a good look at the Earth from up there?
Yes.
No, it was cloudy and rainy the whole time. All I saw
That's the main
was
question. I'm wondering.
the only thing. We get there, and I'm like, "Ooh, the St. Louis Arch," because I've never been to St. Louis before. I live 4 hours from it, but yeah. But I didn't get to see nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I've got really no evidence to support or deny flat Earth. Pretty
Yeah, I
much
can't say
just
one way or another whether
my whole life I just say my whole thing is if someone's like, "Is the Earth flat or round?" I'm like, "Well, it's obviously round."
But
To
you could
me,
be
it's an
conditioned into
obvious
believing it's round.
it's round,
Right.
and there's no argument against it. But I
You're
guess some other
conditioned. That's
people,
why.
That's
So,
what
yeah,
you've been
maybe.
taught. If you were taught something different, I mean,
maybe.
that's the thing. We have colors, right? We have red, purple, blue, blah 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 blah. If you were taught all of those colors differently, you would think those colors are that color until someone else comes up and they're like, "No, no, no, color is actually
Yep.
this color. And you're like, no, you're stupid. This is what I was taught.
Fair enough. That's why I say like I don't have any arguments to deny it either. Like I can't deny flat Earth. I can't
Exactly.
support it because I don't believe in it at all. But I can't really deny it either because I have no scientific research or background to deny it. You know, I don't
Right.
have any evidence to support other than the time thing, which you
Shit on.
myth busted. Um, in the fact that if you're standing in one spot and you look at a mountain, you see the tip before the base.
Well, don't you always see the tip first?
Yeah. But no, I mean, like if you're driving on a straight road, you're gonna see the tip of a mountain, and you're gonna see the mountain slowly rise,
Right.
and then eventually you'll see the base.
Yeah.
That kind of tells you like, oh, you're going, you know. But then you could just say like, oh, you were on a slight decline,
Right.
or something like that. But
Yep. But then you would always be on a slight decline. That's
So the
exactly.
Earth is actually
tilted.
angled.
Yeah, but what happens when you go back the other direction? It does the same thing.
It does the
It,
other
it
way.
flips. It's kind of like one of
See,
those
there's just
wobbly tables, you know.
there's
It's a
no end to
seesaw.
this.
It's a
There's
seesaw.
no right or wrong, yes or no. It's not like the Anunnaki where I can say it's definitely happened. It's I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's
There's no right or wrong to this. I don't think there's astronauts that have been to space, and there's people that have taken pictures of the Earth from space and stuff. But is that even? I guess it really comes down to it, like, what do you quantify as scientific, factual evidence? Because, like,
so most
when I
importantly,
think of the mountains, you can see the tip first, and I look at pictures and stuff like that
right.
of space, I think it's obvious, like, there you go, that's factual evidence the Earth is round. But if someone's like, oh, that was a fake picture, or they're like, oh, it still looks flat to me, then there's really nothing you can say to that.
So here's what I think we need to do. Okay. We need. If you're listening to this podcast and you believe in the flat Earth theory, I want you to reach out and contact us. We would love to interview you and get your evidence why you believe in flat Earth. So please reach out and contact us. Also, if you're reaching out and contacting us, go to www.threadweird.com and buy some things from them and use the promo code Rabbit Hole. That is our sponsor, and they will be sending us back some money. Thankful to your purchase. So please remember to do that. A lot of good stuff on there.
Yeah,
They
if
actually
you want
just
to
dropped a
support the
bunch of new stuff.
podcast, it's liking and sharing on Facebook, sharing YouTube videos, sharing our links, stuff like that. But that's also one of the number one ways you can support us is by going to Threadweird and buying shirts, coffee mugs, wall decor, anything of that sorts. Everything they sell kind of relates to the topics that we talk about on here.
Yep.
And I feel like that if you're a avid listener of the podcast and you liked what we talk about, I think you'll like what they sell over there.
Definitely.
So yeah, visit www.threadweird.com. Use the promo code Rabbit Hole. Promo code. I'm drunk. Use the promo code Rabbit Hole. It'll save you some money. It'll get us some money. So
yeah,
it's a win-win.
Make sure you are liked and subscribed to all of our social medias, our YouTubes. If you listen on YouTube, make sure you go and subscribe on Apple. If you listen on Apple, go and subscribe on YouTube. That helps us out a whole lot with knowing where we're at with people. So,
show us to your friends. Show to your mother, your father.
I'd love to meet your mom.
I probably have met your mom, honestly.
Yeah.
Not the-
No, our
Not the-
subscriber base is pretty small. I probably know your mom.
Probably related. I don't know.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much all we got
Yeah.
time for this
Well,
week.
I just got one more thing,
Oh yeah, go for it.
and I just want to put it out there. Just to make sure you go today on January 17th, 2021, and wish our one true savior, Betty White, a happy birthday.
It's Betty White's birthday. Yep.
She's
By the time this comes out, though, it's not going to be January 17th anymore.
I'll pop this puppy out in the next 20 minutes. Give me a minute.
happy late
All right,
birthday.
fair enough.
Happy late birthday, and you tell her Rabbit Hole Podcast sent you.
Yes.
There you
Very
go.
much so.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. Thanks you two for joining me. Always remember to ask the questions and question the answers. And that's all I got for this week.
And Betty White, if you are listening, hit us up. We'd like to have you on here.
Yes, we would.